what makes a good exergame is that the game itself doesn't even feel like you're doing sports. So it kind of, I would say the magic of exergames is that it tricks you to move a lot.
Hi everyone, I'm Martha, and this is The Upsides of Gaming, a podcast about the positive influence of video games. Together, we are going to explore how video games can improve education, save our environment, build community, and aid our mental and physical health. I have for you 8 episodes, 8 fantastic conversations with fabulous people. And this is our 4th episode. My guest today is Kyösti Koskela, who is the team manager and game producer for a serious games development team operating under Kajaani University in Finland. I met with Kyösti to talk about playing video games and exercising at the same time, don't be mistaken, and to find out more about 2 projects in particular, Project SPEX and SPOKI, both promoting physical activity and sports for children. Hope you like it. Hi, Kyösti.
Hey,
Am I pronouncing it well, by the way?
it's Kyösti, so it was actually a really nice attempt. I heard much worse.
Okay. Could you introduce yourself to everybody here?
So, hi everybody, I'm Kyösti Koskela. I am from Kajaani University of Applied Sciences, Finland. I'm a team leader and a game producer for a serious game development team called Clever Simulation Entertainment. And we are a team that does a lot of different game development, serious games, immersive technologies, virtual reality, data visualization, and a lot of customer-centric game design, which, for example, this exergame project is a good example of.
Okay, fantastic. How long are you doing it? For a long time now, I guess.
Yes, we've been actually doing serious games about 13 years almost now. We started in 2011, and on the course of that time, we've done over 120 serious games or visualizations. So we have some experience on the matter.
Could you tell me what are the games about? What are the topics you are discovering, and like just something more?
Yeah. So like I said, we mainly do serious games, which are kind of games that utilize game-like mechanisms, but they are meant for educating or training or simulations. And we have done games on a really wide variety of fields. We've done quite a bit for healthcare. We've done a lot for construction, then just for logistics, for example. What else? Sport has been a big area also for us. And then I would say most of the basic fields or general fields we've done some sort of game. Like there isn't really an area where you can't utilize the mechanisms of games for education or teaching.
Okay. Could you tell us what are exergames, because this is a part of your project as well? How can you describe exergames?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the serious games are game for trying to use the game mechanism for something, and exergames specifically are a type of serious games that are, for example, designed to promote physical activity. And they are using these through mechanisms that are usually used in games. So I would say one of the key components of the exergames is that they somehow use your body or your motions to control the game. So you might be running, you might be dancing, jumping, and your motions are somehow related to the events in the game. So it makes the player move, and then the game reacts to that and give you some sort of reward. And I would say the key point about exergames is that you usually have to have some sort of mechanism for tracking the player. These can be some sort of sensors placed on your body. A very common one is cameras, or like the older version like Kinect, which is a specialized camera. Or you can wear some clothes, or you can also perform this is virtual reality because it also tracks your bodies and motions, but that can be slightly challenging because then you are also sweating with the virtual reality glasses on your head, so it might not be that comfortable. And like I said, exit games use some sort of game elements. So there might be challenges built inside the game you need to complete. You might gain levels, or there might be different difficulty levels also in the game. And then you might reward points based on how well you are performing, and some sort of rewards to kind of keep you motivated to play the game. And like I said, exit games are somehow always trying to motivate you to do more sports. So just generally improve your fitness. Uh, I would say in the exit game that I will be talking about, we were looking for kind of like trying out and finding motivation to do different sports. And if there's a social element built in the game, kind of like doing challenges with your friend, you can also increase that through exit games. And one area is also like using them for rehabilitation and therapy, since exit games are tracking the player. So if you need to complete certain motions or movements, repeat them, exit games can track how well you are doing them and give you feedback on those. So I would say those would be the key points for exit games.
So I've got one question on the back of that.
Yes.
Do you need a lot of space to perform exit games? I know that you said that you need a some kind of tracker, whatever it is, if it's VR headset or something attached to your body. But what about space?
I would say that is totally related of what kind of sport activity you are doing. So, for example, if you're doing like, let's say, canoeing, you get just sit on one place and just move your hands. But if you do like dancing or running or jumping like that, that actually requires a lot of space in real time. You might need more space, but the space limitation is kind of totally related to the what kind of motions the player has to perform in the game. So it can be really small spaces, or you might require a lot of space. But for example, if you have somebody in a wheelchair, just being able to use their hands, like they can still play a lot of different exit games just by selecting kind of the right type of sport or game types.
I've got a few questions about one particular project you are involved in, which is Sport Compass. Could you tell us a bit more about Sport Compass?
So yes, Sport Compass is actually a project that started about 10 years ago. It was not started by us, since we are mainly the game developer, but they wanted to create these methods for kind of helping children between 8 and 10 years old to kind of find their right sports. So it is a scientific-based method to kind of help them figure out what they want to do when sports are concerned. So they have this three-part system that they developed. Two of them are questionnaires in a fun way, and then one is actually testing the capabilities of the children. So they have the I Like, which is this kind of fun questionnaire that kind of figures out what kind of sports or what type of exercise you might like. And then there they have the I Am, another questionnaire that is trying to figure out what motivates the children to move. And then they have the I Do, which is a set of exercises they perform in a gym or in a setting like that. So they started developing this in Belgium and Netherlands, and it has been spreading around those countries really nicely. So they are testing a lot of children in those areas, but then they wanted to kind of start moving it around the Europe, and also wanted to create this exergaming portion for the whole project. So, like I said, the I like part is moving around with this funny character called Sporty, which is kind of directing you to figure out what kind of sports are available and what might interest the kid. And based on that, their answer, they will be offered sports planets. So they are actually like different planets that are just concentrated on that sport. And main point is to give them the idea, okay, this is the type of things that I like, and these are the sports that based on my preferences I would like to try out. And then I also mentioned the I do test, which is a set of tests that they perform in gym or sport hall. And it tries to test your physical capabilities in a way that is kind of gives a very thorough view of your skills and your strengths. So it measures like things like flexibility and strength, balance, coordination, speed, and I think endurance. So you just do simple things like balance on a balance beam, throw a ball against the wall, and do different jumps or throwing tasks, and then you will be evaluated on your skill level, and then you can combine all of these three elements of what you would like to do and what you are good at to kind of like these suggestion of sports that you might like to try out or which might be suitable for you.
So, what would be an example of a question on the first, second, and like then following to third part? Do you have an example in your head?
For example, let's say the I like part, it is just like a visual questionnaire. So it is a slider that you are moving around. So there might be like a image of you doing sports alone or you doing sports in a group. So you
Okay.
will just kind of slide it away. Okay, I like to do a little bit more sport activities, but also I like to do single activities. So it will then just move the scale slightly to the group sports section. And then the I am kind of asks in a more simplified way, kind of like the motivations behind the what makes you move in a sense, like what motivates you to go out and play with your friends or something like that. I can't remember a specific example of that.
Yeah.
But then on the, like I said, the I do part, it is just a simple test. So you might you like I said, you might move through these balance beams. So there's like three versions, and as far as you can get on the balance beams, that will give you a good score on the balance. And then just by measuring, for example, the distance, how long you can jump, gives you like good skills, for example, in volleyball. So, and the whole sport compass test set is based to kind of figure out all the parts on that sense that we will know their interest and motivation and also skills. And it is giving such a sessions. It's not like forcing the kids to do any of these. It's just you might be happy doing this. And I would say the exit game was kind of provided as a way to give them an option to try out some of these sports that they might be offered.
Okay. You said they started in Belgium. We've got a project SPEX and SPOKI. That's just a shortcut of like a bigger thing. Do I understand it correctly?
Yes.
That's how
Yeah.
that's the sports compass at the bottom, and then like further, like on a bigger scale, are different projects.
Yes. So the sport compass has been in development for like over 10 years, and SPEX and SPOKI are like the current development formats where this whole concept is being developed and kind of trying to be spread around Europe. So they are kind of like the culmination of many years of previous development.
Okay. Could you tell us more about both of the projects, SPEX and SPOKI,
Yes.
and what does it stand for?
Yes. So SPEX is very simply Sport Compass Exegame. So
Okay.
the aim was to generate an exegame that was concentrated or somehow would support the whole sport concept. And it actually was, like I said, it was an international project. They were participated by 7 different organizations from 6 different countries. So we had quite a wide variety of sport experts in the development teams. And I would say we were trying to create new methods to support this digital transformation somehow that is going through physical education nowadays. And what we wanted to do, like I said, the kids kind of learn what kind of sports they might want to try. So we wanted to give them an option to try these sports at home. So we wanted to create an exit game that gives them an option to try varying sports, like things that might be hard to do, like snowboarding or something that might not be possible in some countries. So we wanted to create a extra gaming platform that would give us this option. And I'm not sure if this came up, but like my team, we are game developers. So when we are actually creating serious games, like for example this exit game, we need a lot of cooperation with the experts on the field, since we are not sport experts. Some of us might do some sort of sport at some point, but like we don't understand what kind of specific motions you might need to do to, for example, practice tennis, or what is important factors in certain sports.
Yeah.
So we needed to do a lot of cooperation with the different experts. So I would say, since of course the budgets in certain projects have limitations, we wanted to do a whole exit game, but we had to be realistic about what we're doing. So on the exit game part, I kind of see this as the first step when we created the whole base for the exit game, the Sport Compass exit game, that we can utilize in a much wider variety in the future. But what we wanted to do was to kind of give exegaming opportunities to much more people than is possible today, because usually if you see exegames, they have big screens, they have very complicated camera systems, and they have a lot of requirements from the computers or something like that. So we wanted to create an exegame that was
much simpler.
Yeah, it uses simple technologies. The computers doesn't have to be so powerful, and it just uses webcam, and it is freely available through Steam. So it is much more accessible to schools that don't have the money to buy this kind of expensive exit games. And we were creating this game to the same age group, that was that 8 to 10-year-old. So they already had this kind of established like graphical style. They had the sporty character that was much liked, and they had the sport world concept. And we wanted to use those elements also in our exit games. The funny thing was that the sporty guy he's kind of like this alien. He's a little bit chubby. So the problem with that, when we were tracking humans, Sporty was a little bit too chubby for us to actually use that version of Sporty.
Okay.
So we had to put him on a diet, so he became a little bit taller and a little bit slimmer. But other than that, the character that you are actually playing in the game is the Sporty, just a little bit thinner version of him. So what we created was this AI-based camera technology that tracks you and analyzes your motions and movements, and you can control the game. And we can also track how well you are kind of doing these different positions. So if you do some sort of motion, we can analyze how well you are doing the motions and also give points based on that. And I would have to say we managed to get a lot of things done nicely. So we have the platform for that. We have some of these sports that you can try out are really nice, but since there are a lot of sports, for example in the Sport Compass tests, we were unable to get them all in the game. And it is I'm going to be honest, some of the games are slightly boring, just because it is really hard to do both the technological development where you have to build the tracking system and the camera system and monitor the player, and then also make an engaging game that would work with 15 or 30 different sports. So it is a
This
it is a challenging
this
task.
is like actually 30 sports, and we are talking about sports which are like a group sports or like a singular sports. All of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, there are both. Like I said, there's like volleyball and there's basketball and there's snowboarding, kayaking, running, dancing. Trampoline was one of them. So it is there's a lot of different sports and different motions. But like for example, the basketball situation, we needed to limit the activity in a situation where you are not actually moving around that much and playing the sport. You're just doing some part of the components that are important for basketball. And it was pretty much purely a, I would say, research problem, because it is just creating a good sports game for one sport is very challenging. But when you have such a wide variety of sports, then that is a much more challenging. And we kind of set on the goal that we wanted to give the users just a glimpse of the sports. That the main point of this game is not to have the kids just play the exit game over and over again. It is to give them an idea based on, okay, let's say, for example, they got a results that kayaking would be really good for them based on their interest and based on their skills. They can go try it out in the exit game. And then one portion of the Sport Compass network that I forgot to mention is that you can also find like local clubs or venues where you can actually
Wow.
do the sport. So then you know where to go when you find out this is a sport that interests me, and then you can actually go and try it out in the club setting. So it is, the aim is not to get the kids to play the game. The aim is to get them interested in the actual sports.
Oh, that's fantastic. But adding the clubs, that even makes the projects bigger, because we are talking about few countries, not one country. We are talking about few sports, not one sport. So it's just
Yeah.
when it scales up, it's just becoming bigger and bigger, and might be challenging because you need more experts to but you need to find somebody who actually has knowledge about all of it. Not It's
Mhm.
great to have developers, but even though they are brilliant, they've got these limitations in place. But yeah, that's amazing that if you are
Yeah.
interested in something, you can find the place. um, I'm trying to imagine how it works, and it basically, when you talk about basketball, you are talking about big space, which
Mhm.
in general you would need to in some way track. That's why you limited the space to perform certain activities.
Yeah. So, for example, for the basketball, it is mainly kind of concentrated the game on the shooting the ball part. So you have to hit the score. So it's not the whole gameplay
Yeah.
session. It is something that you need to train a lot, which is just getting accurate on the throwing of the ball part. So that is something that it needs to be happening, because if you would need to track the whole basketball area
Yeah.
where you actually play basketball, there would be no living room in Europe that could actually do that. So
And also, I've got a
yes.
question about one more thing. So,
Mhm.
because basketball is a team sport,
Yes.
so the game you developed was just for one person, or you could accommodate like a couple of people playing together. What is the like a person count in there?
Yes, well, currently it is for one person, so one person plays at a time,
Yeah.
but we do have a multiplayer option for it. It is just a matter of resources.
Yeah.
If we can, for example, find a national project where we can develop that, but the platform itself supports like multiple people playing at the same time, but currently it's just for
Yeah,
single
yeah.
person.
That makes absolute sense, because there are a lot of resources needed in general, and the project is just growing. So, and what about Project SPOKI? So, SPEX and SPOKI. What SPOKI stands
Yes.
for, and how you can place those two projects
Yeah.
together?
So SPOKI is short for Sport Compass for Kids, which is kind of it is a project that aims for actually getting this whole system to work around Europe. So, like I mentioned, they are trying to give the kids an idea where to find these venues. So, pretty much how the project works, they have 3 pilot locations in Finland, in Italy, and in Spain. And they start these, they are like operators of different cities and like schools there, and they start to train them how to use the whole sport compass system, to how to do the questionnaires, how to do the test, how to integrate the exergame, how to let the kids to test that, and then, like I mentioned, also how to find the uh, sport places in those areas. So it will be testing in a kind of like different European settings how to implement this whole system, and once they have figured out how it works and tested it out with a lot of kids, then this will be distributed all over Europe. It is already distributed in many places, but it is kind of Spocky is kind of concentrating on trying out different European cultures and different social settings, and then if it works in these varying countries in the sense, then they know that it is something that could totally work Europe-wise. So it is kind of concentrating on distributing and testing how the whole system works.
So, what do you need to do to join the project? Or the pilot or the testing is just done on 3 countries? Is there
Mhm.
any reason for that? What if someone else wants to join? What are the requirements? Is it possible at all?
Yeah, like you just contact, like you can easily find the Sport Compass webpage, and there is a contact info, and for example, those questionnaires, they are already freely available. Of course, like they are just translated to those languages that have already participated in the Sport
Okay.
Compass,
Yeah.
but you can also find it in English. So the questionnaires itself are already available. And for the I do, which is testing the skills, you need this box that contains all the necessary equipment like the balance beams, and there are some specialized carpets that tell you where to jump and how to jump and things like that. So if you want to do the I do tests, you kind of have to get this the testing kit in a
Yeah.
sense. But other than that, if there's a town or some other entity that would like to start using Sport Compass in their own like activities, it is totally possible already. It is just that it is now systematically tested in these 3 countries. So a lot of these elements of Sport Compass are available, and the exegame is also available for free on Steam. So, like, if you are interested, you can just contact the Kent University for the or go through the specs webpage and contact them. And like I said, these questionnaires are already available in quite a few languages.
That's actually amazing. And it's so interesting that I kind of think that every single country should participate, but this is just
Yeah,
my
yeah.
opinion.
It is something like I would say I know from my background that I ended up doing the sports that my parents were interested
Yeah.
in, that I might not have been so interested myself. So just having something to kind of give the children a voice in a sense, like this is what I would like to do, this is interests me, and then giving them the option to try that out, that is something pretty wonderful.
Yeah, that sounds awesome actually. Do you have your favorite exit game? Not from the project, like in
Oh
general.
yeah, definitely. I think what makes a good exit game is that the game itself doesn't even feel like you're doing sports. So it kind of, I would say the magic of exit games is that it tricks you to move a lot.
Mm.
And there is actually this virtual reality game called Beat Saber, which is really simple. You hear music and you have lightsabers and you need to beat the like different blocks based on the beat of the music. And it is something that like I would say there is a stereotype that game developers might be not in such a good shape.
Mm.
There are some cases that is true, but the game itself it's so much fun because there's cute music and like a lot of interesting activity that my developers were playing it for like hours at one point and everybody was like sweating. It was like really good sports for everybody, but like it's something that it doesn't feel like you because you aren't doing motions like you would do it in actual sport, but it makes you move very fast, and that is kind of the best kind of exit game that it just is so much fun that it tricks you how to move. And
What's the name once again?
Beat Saber.
Okay.
So it is something I definitely recommend to try if you have possibility.
I've seen also something on I was studying LinkedIn profile of the specs, and there was a leaflet saying that they can train teachers.
Yes. So actually, part of the SPEX project was that we created this online course about exit games and also about the exit game created for SPEX. So you can learn about exit games and also use the Sporties Universe game in your education. So it is a complete package explaining, I like teaching, like for example, sports students how to utilize exit games and what are exit games all about.
When I read that, I imagined my old sports teacher, and I was kind of trying to imagine that person going through the
Yeah.
course, and maybe they would not do it in their spare time, but if this was a part of certification or something on
Yeah.
the way when they were studying, they would definitely be interested, and they would, I think, implement things like this
Yeah.
in like exercises.
That is kind of the point. Like the whole course, I think it's 3 credits, and I think it's 0.5 or 1 credit. It's just for the exit gaming part. So it is something to kind of introduce a lot of different people into the exit gaming concept. But like you mentioned, that is a general problem with games because if you think of slightly older people, they have an idea that games are just a waste of time, pretty much, and they might not understand that. For example, when you are creating serious games, like I said, we are just a technical expert. We are trying to utilize the information from actual expert on pedagogy and actual expert on sport or whatever field we are doing. So serious games are really meant to create methods to improve learning or make the learning more fun. For it is just there to benefit education and not like trying to take something away from the teaching. Even though I'm a game developer, I never think that any of these games that we are creating would replace any part of the education. Just make it more immersive, more interesting, or somehow more accessible, for example, if you think of people with disabilities. So I think the opinions are changing, but there's still quite an uphill battle for us, for everybody to start using games.
Yeah, that's why I'm here and you are here, I guess. You're doing an amazing project, but I guess it's an effort also to introduce people to different things, and also that the games can be used in different ways,
Yeah.
and not just waste of time as like a lot of people still think, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that we cannot predict the future, but how do you imagine the space of exergames in 10 years?
I think since there's a lot of if you don't think just about games, if you think of like people tracking their own health and somehow monitoring how everything is going, I think exergames will be more integrated into that. Like you can use a lot of methods to kind of track what kind of motion you are, for example, doing. That can be through exergames or just more serious apps in a way. But I think the technologies that are now used in exergames will be much more like commonly used and then kind of integrated, like you have activity
On your
like
wrist.
bracelets and whatever. Yeah, so you have that now, and I think in the future you will be just using a lot more different camera or tracking systems to kind of track more how you're doing, how well you are doing, and then also using that data to play games. And what I'm hoping, the exit games have a problem that game quality nowadays is really good. And a lot of exit games kind of underestimate the user in the sense that, okay, they just want to collect apples and get points. Like I said, the Beat Saber is good because you don't feel like you're doing sports. And that what the future of exit games should be, that people would be actually playing really similar game like scenarios that you do in real games, for example, adventuring around the world and doing stuff like that, jumps in the game world and not just doing jumps because you're doing repeating an exercise. So I see that the level of game design should go up because that's what's happening in the commercial games world. And if the games are not good enough, then nobody will want to play the exit game because then they just feel that it's not in the same level as the rest of the games.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I said, there's a lot more technology coming to our lives, and I think it will be
And they are more and
speeding
more
up the development.
accessible.
Yes.
So that will be introduced to our lives, even though we kind of don't realize that that's the
Yeah,
implementation.
that is true.
Okay, fantastic. What projects are you working on at the moment?
Like I said, we do a lot of different games. We are doing a kind of literature culture project where we introduce stories from all around Europe and we make games about their stories. So there's 5 countries participating in that, and you can experience their stories. Actually using something similar that we are using in the SPEX project, for example. We are using the camera, but it's not for sport purposes. It's just for controlling the environment or doing something.
Tracking it.
Yeah, like it's just controlling what's
Yeah.
happening in the scene. So they are interactive studies. Like for example, in Finland we have this national epoch called Kalevala, and we have picked short stories from that. And the point is to market the stories of these different locations around Europe and kind of give some more immersive experiences to the literature tourism world. And then we are doing just sport data analysis. Then we are doing different games for healthcare. Like for example, visualizing different like impairments. So we make the through virtual reality we make the users experience certain impairments, and the point is just to make them help them understand like what people might be feeling or how do they see the world in the sense. And then we are doing training application for ice hockey and what else? I think we have like 10 different projects going on at the same time, and they're all very different.
In what capacity are you there? Are you leading them, or you are a programmer? What?
I am the team lead, so I'm like the project manager of all our development project, and
So you
uh,
are basically bringing
I
the team together, or kind of bringing the right
yeah
people to the
I
right project.
I do the money applications, but I do also the game, some parts of the game design, and then do all the like bureaucracy
Yeah.
and all
The
those other
part
things. So
which nobody can
yeah,
see, but it needs to be
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Is there a lot of paperwork connected to exergames?
Not really for exit games, but it's just when you're doing things for EU, they can be kind of a lot of
Yeah,
bureaucracy.
that's true. In a way that I think that it's connected to funding
Yes.
because they are giving money
Yeah.
and yeah, it's.
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of challenging. There's a lot of.
Are you applying for
Uh,
funding as well yourself?
yeah, I am pretty much constantly because my team is so big that we need to always have something in development. So I have to balance between getting new project and designing current project and finalizing projects that are ending. So it is a lot of fun. But yeah, one thing about the team, I would say that, like I said, we need to do a lot of project, but we are kind of in this mindset of always trying to find teams that are somehow actually helping people. So we try to avoid like just project for money. So we are trying to find topics for the serious games that are actually needed. So that is very essential in the customer-centric design that you kind of help them pinpoint the areas where they do actually need the game and not just make games because they have project for it.
That's kind of I would say underskin of all of that. You've got like all these
Yeah.
big commercial games. They are beautiful, amazing engagement, and then you've got
Yeah.
different games which are super helpful and they've got a good meaning, and you want to plan it well and you want to help people, but unfortunately sometimes they don't have space or funding or whatever it is.
Yeah. So that is the problem. Like the big studios have a budget like 100 to 1,000 times like more than what we have, for example. So people are still expecting the games to be in that level, and it is impossible because they have like 200 graphic guys working on just one game, and that is kind of one of the challenges of serious games, how to get the funding so we can develop games that are pleasing to the audiences that they kind of will want to play them.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of work left?
No, I think I'm leaving in half an hour, but I need to do a lot of snow work because there's a lot of snow outside.
That's gonna keep you fit.
Yeah, I know.